Okay, so you've got this killer business idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're ready to shout it from the rooftop, start building, maybe even quit your day job.
Yeah.
But before you order those future CEO business cards,
Right.
let's talk legal safety nets.
Right.
You've heard it a million times, get everything in writing.
Sure.
But what does that actually look like when you're just starting to validate your idea?
It's like packing for a hike.
Yeah.
You wouldn't hit the trail without the right gear.
Right.
And starting a business is no different.
Yeah.
Excitement is great.
Yeah.
But a little legal preparedness up front can prevent some major headaches down the road.
Music to my ears.
Uh-huh.
So let's dive into this legal survival kit.
Okay.
You're validating your idea, talking to potential partners, maybe even testing the waters with some early customers.
Right.
How do you protect yourself without scaring everyone off with a bunch of legal jargon?
That's where NDAs, those confidentiality agreements you see in the movies, come into play.
Yeah.
They're not just for big corporations. They're crucial for anyone sharing sensitive information,
Yeah.
even at the idea stage.
Right, because spilling the beans to the wrong person could mean kissing your competitive edge goodbye.
Exactly. Think about Sarah, who was developing that app idea a while back. She used NDAs strategically
Okay.
when discussing her concept with potential developers.
Yeah.
It gave her the freedom to talk openly,
Yeah.
knowing her idea was protected.
NDAs. Got it. But what about those times when a full-blown NDA feels a bit too formal?
Sure.
Like when you're just bouncing ideas off a mentor
Right.
or getting feedback from potential users?
It's all about being strategic with the information you share. Think of it like revealing a magic trick. You don't start with the secret behind the illusion.
Right.
Tom, for example, was revolutionizing a retail approach. Instead of spilling all the details up front,
Yeah.
he focused on validating the need for the type of product he was envisioning. He protected his unique method while still getting valuable feedback.
So he was basically saying, hey, would you be interested in a product like this without revealing the how behind it?
Exactly.
Clever.
And as you're having these conversations, remember documentation is key.
Okay.
This doesn't have to be complicated legal documents. Think date-stamped sketches in your notebook.
Right.
Detailed notes from phone calls.
Sure.
Even saved emails outlining agreements.
Oh, I see.
These records can be invaluable if anyone ever tries to claim your idea as their own.
It's like building a paper trail for your idea, proving its origin.
Exactly.
Right.
Imagine Maria, who was meticulously journaling her food-related business idea. Those journals could be her saving grace.
Wow.
If someone ever questioned the origins of her recipes, they're tangible proof of her creative journey.
Wow, that's a powerful visual.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked NDAs and smart documentation. Let's move on to the big league's intellectual property.
Okay.
It sounds intimidating, but I'm guessing it's crucial even in the early stages.
It is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a scary, complicated maze. Think of it like this.
I love analogies. Lay it on me.
Imagine you have 3 treasure chests, each protecting a different aspect of your business.
Okay.
One chest is for patents, which safeguard inventions. The second is for trademarks, which protect your brand, your business name, logo, all that good stuff.
Right.
And the third chest is for copyrights,
Okay.
which safeguard your original creations, like software code books or music.
Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. But here's a question. Do these treasure chests really matter before you've even officially launched your business? Like while you're still in the testing phase?
Absolutely. Even before you launch, taking steps to protect your intellectual property can prevent major headaches down the road. Remember John?
Yeah.
He was developing that innovative gadget.
Right.
And even before launching his crowdfunding campaign, he filed a provisional patent application.
Smart move. He was thinking ahead, protecting his invention early on.
Yep.
So patents are all about protecting those inventions. What about trademarks? Is a trademark search really necessary before you're even up and running?
It's like checking the traffic before you cross the street, essential for avoiding a collision.
Right.
Think about Lisa, who was ready to launch her validation landing page.
Okay.
She did a quick trademark search
Right.
and discovered someone else was already using the name she had chosen.
Oh, no.
That simple search saved her from a potential legal nightmare.
Ouch. That's a close call. Okay, so patents and trademarks, we're talking about protecting the tangible elements of a business, the invention itself, and the brand surrounding it. But what about the stuff you create digitally? The code for your app, the content for your website, those killer designs you've been working on.
That's where copyrights swoop in to save the day.
Okay.
The beauty is, in many cases, you're automatically protected.
Yeah.
The moment you create something original, bam, it's protected by copyright.
Right.
But being explicit never hurts.
Okay.
Take David, for example. He's a software developer, and he's meticulous about including copyright notices on every single line of code he shares during beta testing.
It's like putting a flag in the ground declaring this is mine.
Exactly. It adds an extra layer of protection and clarity, especially in the digital world, where things can spread like wildfire.
That makes a ton of sense. So we've covered protecting your idea while you're validating it, getting those NDAs in place, understanding the basics of intellectual property. But what happens when you're ready to take your product or service for a spin in the real world? Are there legal hurdles to clear even in the testing phase?
Absolutely. Even in the testing phase, you're interacting with real people, real data.
Right.
And that comes with legal responsibilities. Data privacy is a major one, especially if you're collecting any personal information from potential customers.
Right.
And then there are consumer rights to consider, especially if you're pre-selling products or services.
It's easy to overlook those things when you're caught up in the excitement of getting your product out there. Okay, let's get specific. Can you give us some real-world examples? You know, I love those aha moments where it all clicks into place.
Of course. Imagine you're Emma testing the waters for that new online service.
Great.
You're eager to gather user data to refine your offering.
Right.
But you have to do it the right way. That means having clear consent forms transparent privacy policies all clearly laid out on your website.
It's all about being upfront and respectful of user data. Makes sense. What about testing a physical product, like a subscription box?
Great question. Carlos's experience is a perfect example. He was testing a subscription box service.
Okay.
And quickly realized the importance of crystal clear refund and cancellation policies.
Oh, right.
People are handing over their hard-earned money, even in a testing phase.
Right.
So they need to know their rights and what to expect.
Transparency builds trust, even from the get-go. Are there any industries where you absolutely need expert legal advice from day one, or the rules are extra tricky?
Definitely. Priya, who is developing a fintech app, learned this firsthand.
Okay.
The world of financial regulations is incredibly complex. She made a smart move by bringing in a legal expert early on to help her navigate those waters, ensuring her product was compliant right out of the gate.
It's like having a legal Sherpa guiding you through those treacherous mountain passes.
Uh-huh.
So we've talked NDAs, intellectual property, and navigating the legal minefield of market testing.
Right.
It's a lot to process. But let's say you've aced all that. You've got those early adopters lined up. They're excited to try your product, credit cards in hand. Do you really need contracts at this early stage?
It's always a wise move, even if they're simple agreements. Remember Alex, the game developer?
Yeah.
He was gearing up for his beta test, but he also had these incredibly detailed game designs.
Right.
He had all his beta testers sign a simple agreement outlining the terms, emphasizing confidentiality, no sharing screenshots or spilling the beans on social media.
Smart.
Yeah.
He protected his intellectual property without creating this long, scary legal document.
Exactly. And for those building businesses for other businesses, those early bird customers appreciate that clarity too, right?
Totally. It shows you're thinking ahead, that you're serious about building a sustainable business. Speaking of which, are there any legal moves that can give new businesses a competitive edge? Things that aren't necessarily essential right out of the gate, but can pay off big time down the road. You're speaking my language.
Uh-huh.
What are those nice-to-have legal moves that can set us up for success? It's like choosing the right fuel for your rocket ship, right?
Yeah.
You want something that's going to take you the distance.
Exactly. One thing I always advise entrepreneurs to consider early on is their business structure.
Okay.
Sole proprietorship partnership, LLC, C Corp.
Right.
It can feel like alphabet soup.
Yeah.
But it impacts everything from taxes to liability.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. I'm guessing what works for a freelance designer might not be the best fit for a tech startup.
Spot on. Talking to a lawyer or accountant early on can help you choose the best structure for your specific circumstances.
It's like choosing the right blueprint before you start building. You don't want to realize halfway through that you need a whole extra floor.
Exactly. And speaking of building,
Yeah.
think about those co-founders and early team members as your construction crew.
Okay.
It's easy to get caught up in the excitement and assume everything will be smooth sailing.
Right.
But what happens if someone decides to move on?
Right.
Or if there's a disagreement about the direction of the business?
Nobody wants to think about those things when you're just starting out, but I can see how having those conversations up front could prevent major headaches down the line.
That's where a founder's agreement comes in. It outlines roles, responsibilities, equity splits, even what happens if someone decides to leave the company. It's like a prenup for your business partnership.
Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Totally makes sense. Now, before we wrap up, any other legal nice-to-haves we should be thinking about?
Don't forget about those often overlooked terms of service and privacy policies for your website or app. They might not be the most exciting documents to create, but they're essential for building trust with your users and staying compliant with regulations.
They're like the rule book for how people interact with your business online, right?
Precisely. Your terms of service set the ground rules, and your privacy policy explains how you handle user data. It's all about transparency and accountability.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've covered a ton of ground today, from protecting your idea in those initial stages to navigating market testing, from smart contracts to thinking long-term about your business structure and online presence. It's clear that understanding the legal side of things isn't just a box to check, it's an ongoing process.
Absolutely. It's a journey just like starting and growing a business.
Yeah.
But the good news is you don't have to be a legal expert to navigate it successfully.
Knowing what we know now, where should our listeners go to find those resources and get that expert guidance? Any parting advice?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. There are incredible resources available to entrepreneurs, from legal clinics to online guides to mentorship programs.
Right. Seek out mentors, connect with other entrepreneurs, and remember, asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness.
I love that. And on that note, it's been a pleasure diving into this topic with you. For our listeners, remember, knowledge is power, and a little legal savvy can go a long way in protecting your dreams and building a business that stands the test of time.